I knew I was falling. Not metaphorically. Literally falling through 30 stories of empty air, the wind screaming past my ears, the city lights blurring into streaks of gold and red below me. And the only thing between me and the pavement was his hand wrapped around my wrist. His grip was iron, unbreakable. But my palm was slick with blood, and physics doesn't care about love or loyalty or the promises we make in the dark. I looked up into his eyes, those cold gray eyes that had watched men beg for mercy and never once flinched, and I saw something I'd never seen before: terror. "Don't let go," I begged. He didn't answer. He just held tighter, like I was his entire world, and maybe for that one moment, suspended between life and death, I was. But you want to know how we got here? How a girl who couldn't afford groceries ended up dangling from the penthouse of a crime lord's empire? Let me take you back to the beginning. To the night I made the worst decision of my life. Or maybe the best. I still haven't decided. 6 months earlier, I was invisible. That's what poverty does to you in a city like New York. It turns you into background noise. A face in the crowd. Someone people look through instead of at. I worked 3 jobs and still couldn't make rent. Waitress at a diner in Hell's Kitchen from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Data entry at an insurance company from 3 to 7. And then, when my body screamed for sleep and my eyes burned with exhaustion, I cleaned offices in Midtown until midnight. I was 24, and I felt ancient. My apartment, if you could call it that, was a glorified closet in Washington Heights. The radiator clanked like it was possessed. The walls were so thin I could hear my neighbors' every argument, every reconciliation, every moment of their lives bleeding into mine. I had $7 in my bank account, a student loan debt that looked like a phone number, and a mother in Ohio whose medical bills were drowning us both. So when Vanessa texted me about the job, I should have known better. Vanessa was my only friend from high school who'd actually made it out. Made it big. She wore designer clothes now, drove a car that cost more than my yearly salary, and always smelled like expensive perfume and secrets. One night, her text said, $5,000. Just serve drinks at a private party. Smile. Look pretty. Don't ask questions. $5,000. I could almost hear my mother's voice. Elena, baby, don't do anything stupid. We'll figure it out. But there was nothing to figure out. The numbers didn't work. They never worked. And Mom's next treatment was in 2 weeks. And the hospital had already sent 3 collection notices, and I was so tired of being invisible, of working myself to death for nothing. I texted back, "I'm in." 2 words that changed everything. The address Vanessa sent was in Tribeca. Not just Tribeca, the building that made billionaires look poor. I stood on the sidewalk in my only decent black dress, the one I'd bought at a thrift store, and altered myself, feeling like a fraud. The doorman looked at me like I was dirt on his shoe until I mentioned Vanessa's name. Then his expression shifted. Not friendly, but aware. Like I'd just said a password in a language only certain people spoke. He nodded once and opened the door. The lobby was all marble and gold, the kind of place where the air itself felt expensive. My heels clicked on the floor, each step echoing, announcing my presence, my inadequacy, my desperation. The elevator required a key card. The doorman swiped one and pressed the button for the 45th floor without looking at me. "Penthouse level," he said. "Someone will meet you." The doors closed and my reflection stared back at me. Dark hair I'd actually taken time to curl. Makeup I'd watched 5 YouTube tutorials to get right. The dress that had cost me $30 but looked decent in low light. I looked like I was trying too hard. I looked exactly like what I was. A girl who needed money badly enough to walk into a situation she didn't understand. The elevator rose and my stomach dropped. What kind of party requires $5,000 for a server? The doors opened, And that's when I saw him for the first time. He stood in the hallway like he owned it. Because he did. He owned the building, the floor. Probably half the city for all I knew. Dante Vittorio. I didn't know his name yet. Wouldn't learn it for another hour. But I knew power when I saw it, and this man radiated it like heat from a furnace. He was tall. 6'3", maybe 6'4", built like violence wrapped in a $15,000 suit. Dark hair cut sharp enough to draw blood, a jaw that looked carved from granite, and eyes. God, his eyes, gray like winter storms, like metal, like nothing human should be. He was looking at his phone, not at me, but I felt pinned in place anyway. My heart kicked against my ribs, fight or flight screaming through my nervous system. Flight, my instincts said. Run. But the elevator doors had already closed behind me. "You're late," he said without looking up. His voice was deep, controlled, the kind of voice that never had to repeat itself. The subway was, I don't care. He finally looked at me. His gaze moved over my face, clinical and assessing. "Vanessa vouched for you. Says you're smart enough to keep your mouth shut. Are you?" I nodded. "Use your words." "Yes." My voice came out steadier than I felt. "I can keep my mouth shut." Something flickered in his expression. Amusement, maybe? Or approval? It vanished too quickly to tell. "The rules are simple," he said. "You serve drinks. You smile. You listen to nothing. You see nothing. You remember nothing. Every glass gets poured in front of the guest. You never turn your back to a door. You stay until I dismiss you. Understand?" "Yes." "If anyone makes you uncomfortable, you come find me or one of my men. You don't handle it yourself. You don't make a scene. You find me. Clear?" That surprised me. I'd expected rich men paying for servers wouldn't care about our comfort, but his tone was absolute, an order, not a suggestion. "Clear," I said. He studied me for another long moment, and I felt dissected. Like he could see every secret, every debt, every desperate decision that had led me here. "What's your name?" "Elena." "Elena." He said it slowly, tasting the syllables. "Italian?" "My grandmother was." He nodded once, then turned and walked down the hall. "Follow me." I followed. Why did Vanessa really recommend me for this job? The penthouse was obscene. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. Art on the walls that belonged in museums. Furniture that cost more than most people's houses. Everything was black, white, or gold. Clean lines and sharp edges. Beautiful and cold. Like the man who lived here. There were already about 20 people scattered through the main room. Men in suits that screamed money and power. A few women who looked like models or mistresses or both. Everyone held crystal glasses. Everyone spoke in low voices. And everyone went quiet when Dante walked in. The shift was subtle, but absolute. Conversations paused mid-sentence. Eyes tracked his movement. The entire room recalibrated around his presence. This wasn't just wealth. This was fear dressed up as respect. Vanessa appeared at my elbow, materializing like she always did. She looked stunning in a red dress that probably cost more than my car, if I'd had a car. "You made it," she whispered, kissing my cheek. "You look great." "Vanessa, what is this?" "A party," like I said. "Who are these people?" Her smile was tight. "People you don't ask about. Come on, I'll show you the bar." She led me to a sleek black marble bar set up along one wall. Top-shelf liquor lined the shelves, bottles I recognized from rap videos and movies. Another girl was already there, blonde and bored-looking, pouring whiskey into a crystal tumbler. "This is Maya," Vanessa said. "She'll show you what to do. Just follow her lead. You'll be fine." Vanessa. She gripped my arm, her nails digging in just slightly. Her voice dropped. Elena, I got you this because you need it. Because we're friends. But you need to be smart tonight. Smile. Pour drinks. Keep your head down, that's it. You're scaring me. Good. Her expression softened slightly. That means you're paying attention. These aren't corporate executives, honey. But they tip well, and they don't bite unless you give them reason to. Just be professional and you'll walk out of here with more money than you've ever seen. She squeezed my arm once more, then glided away, melting back into the crowd. Maya handed me a towel. First time? Is it that obvious? She smirked. You'll get used to it. The trick is to pretend you're deaf and blind. They talk like we're not even here. Don't react to anything you hear. Got it? Got it. And if Dante or any of his inner circle asks for something, you move fast. They don't like waiting. Who is Dante exactly? Maya's eyes widened slightly. You really don't know? I just got here. She leaned in, her voice barely audible. Dante Vittorio, head of the Vittorio family, which means he runs most of the organized crime on the East Coast, which means you really don't want to piss him off. My blood went cold. Mafia. I was serving drinks at a mafia party. How deep is Vanessa involved with these people? The next 2 hours passed in a blur of bottles and ice and forced smiles. Maya was right. They talked like we were furniture. I heard things I wish I could unhear. Business deals that were definitely illegal. Casual mentions of violence that made my hands shake as I poured vodka. Names I recognized from news reports about unsolved murders and political corruption. And through it all, I felt his eyes on me. Dante stood near the windows with 3 other men, all of them radiating danger. But his attention kept drifting my way. Every time I looked up, he was watching. Not obviously. Not creepily. Just aware of where I was at all times. It should have terrified me. It did terrify me. But there was something else underneath the fear. Something I didn't want to examine too closely. Whiskey. Neat. I turned and found myself face to face with a man who made my skin crawl. He was older, 50s maybe, with slicked back hair and a smile that belonged on a predator. Of course. I reached for the bottle. His hand shot out and caught my wrist. You're new. Yes, sir. Pretty. His thumb rubbed across my pulse point. Real pretty. What's your name, sweetheart? Every instinct screamed. But I remembered Dante's instructions. Don't handle it yourself. Find me. Let me get your drink, I said, trying to pull away gently. His grip tightened. I asked you a question. The lady's working, Sal. Dante's voice cut through the noise like a blade. The man, Sal, dropped my wrist immediately. His whole demeanor changed. Dante, I was just being friendly. Be friendly somewhere else. It wasn't a suggestion. Sal's jaw tightened, but he nodded and moved away, disappearing into the crowd. Dante looked at me. You all right? Fine, thank you. He touch you anywhere else? No, just my wrist. Something dark crossed his face. If he does, you tell me immediately. Understand? Yes. He nodded once, then started to turn away. Why? The word escaped before I could stop it. He paused. Why what? Why do you care? I'm nobody. For the first time since I'd met him, his expression shifted into something almost human, almost soft. Nobody is nobody, Elena. Then he walked away, and I stood there with a bottle of whiskey in my hand and my heart doing things it had no business doing. Midnight came, and the party started to thin. Men left in pairs and small groups, shaking hands, making promises I didn't want to understand. The penthouse grew quieter, the energy shifting from barely controlled chaos to something more intimate, more dangerous. Only about 10 people remained. Dante's inner circle, I guessed. The ones who stayed after everyone else went home. Maya had already left, slipping out 20 minutes earlier with a wad of cash and a tired smile. I was wiping down the bar when Vanessa reappeared. "You did great," she said. "Here." She handed me an envelope. I opened it. 50 $100 bills, $5,000. I stared at it. More money than I'd ever held. More money than I'd seen in one place in my entire life. "Vanessa, this is what you earned. Listen, I have to go. But you were perfect tonight. Really, I might have more work for you if you're interested." "I don't know." She touched my face, her expression almost sad. "I know this world isn't what you're used to, but you need money, and they pay well. Just think about it, okay?" She kissed my cheek and left. I stood there with the envelope in my hands, my moral compass spinning wildly. This was drug money, blood money, money from crimes I didn't want to think about. But it was also my mother's treatment. My rent for 3 months. A chance to breathe. Complicated, isn't it? I spun around. Dante stood in the doorway, jacket off now, sleeves rolled up. He looked more human like this, less untouchable. "I should go," I said. "You should. But you won't. Not yet." "Why not?" "Because you have questions." He was right. God help me, he was right. "Who are you really?" I asked. "You already know." "Why did you defend me? From that man?" "Because he touched something that didn't belong to him." "I don't belong to anyone." His lips curved slightly, almost a smile. "No, you don't. But while you're in my house, under my protection, no one touches you without permission. That's not negotiable." I should have been insulted, should have thrown the money in his face and walked out. Instead, I found myself saying, "Vanessa mentioned more work. And you're considering it. I need the money." "For?" "That's personal. So is my home. But you're standing in it counting my money." "Fair point." I took a breath. "My mother. She's sick. Cancer. The bills are... I can't keep up." Something shifted in his eyes. Understanding, maybe? Or memory. "My mother died when I was 14, he said quietly. Cancer. By the time we realized how sick she was, it was too late. The doctors said if we'd caught it earlier, treated it aggressively, maybe..." He trailed off. We stood there in the silence of shared grief, two strangers connected by the cruelest disease. "I'm sorry," I said. "Don't be. It made me who I am." He moved closer, and I should have stepped back, but I didn't. "I'll make you a deal, Elena." "What kind of deal?" "Work for me. Not like tonight. I need someone I can trust in my home, someone who can be discreet. Someone who needs money badly enough not to ask questions, but who's smart enough to stay out of trouble. You don't know me. I know enough. You're desperate, but not reckless. Scared, but standing your ground. And Vanessa trusts you, which means something." What would I do? Manage the household, coordinate with staff, handle logistics, be present when I entertain. Essentially, make sure my life runs smoothly on the domestic side. "You mean be here, in this penthouse, with you?" "Yes." "That's insane." "That's practical. I'll pay you $20,000 a month, cash, no taxes. Plus, cover your mother's medical expenses directly." The room tilted. $20,000 a month. My mother's treatment covered. It was too much. Too good. Too impossible. "What's the catch?" I whispered. "No catch. Just loyalty. What you see here, what you hear, what you learn, it stays buried. You work for me, you're under my protection, but you're also in my world. That comes with risks. Like enemies, like danger, like the possibility that one day, something I've done might put you in harm's way." He was being honest. Brutally, terrifyingly honest. I don't understand why you'd offer this to me, a stranger. Because I'm a good judge of character. And because. He paused, something flickering across his face. Because I think you'd do anything to save your mother. And I respect that kind of loyalty. What does Dante really want from Elena? I didn't answer right away. Couldn't. My brain was screaming warnings, red flags everywhere, danger signs in neon lights. But my heart, my desperate, terrified heart was doing math. 20,000 a month was 240,000 a year, plus medical coverage. I could save my mother, pay off my debt, maybe even go back to school, become someone. I need time to think, I said. You have until morning. I'll have my driver take you home. Your answer by 9 a.m. He pulled out his phone, typed something, then handed me a business card with a number on it. That's my personal line. When you decide, text me. And if I say no, then you keep the 5,000 and we never see each other again. No hard feelings, no consequences. It sounded too easy, too clean. You promise? His eyes locked on mine, and for a moment I saw past the cold crime lord to something deeper. Something almost vulnerable. I promise. I'm a lot of things, Elena, but I keep my word. Especially to people who don't deserve my darkness. Why do you think I don't deserve it? Because you're still good. I can see it, and that's rare in my world. A knock at the door interrupted us. One of his men, the one who'd been standing near him all night, poked his head in. Car's ready, boss. Dante nodded. Marco will take you home. He'll wait downstairs until you're inside safely. That's not necessary. It is to me. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just nodded, clutched my envelope of money, and headed for the door. Elena. I turned back. He was silhouetted against those massive windows, the city glittering behind him, and he looked like something out of a movie. Dangerous and beautiful and utterly wrong for someone like me. Whatever you decide, he said. Thank you for tonight. You did well. It was such a simple compliment. But coming from him, it felt like the sun breaking through clouds. I managed a small smile. Good night, Dante. Good night. Marco drove a black SUV that probably cost more than my childhood home. He didn't try to make conversation, which I appreciated. I pressed my forehead against the cool window and watched the city blur past, my mind spinning. $20,000 a month. It felt like a fairy tale. But fairy tales in Dante's world probably ended with bodies and betrayal. We pulled up outside my building. Marco got out and opened my door like I was someone important. I'll wait until you're inside, he said. You really don't have to. Boss's orders. Right. Of course. I climbed the 4 flights to my apartment, each step feeling heavier than the last. When I reached my door, I turned and waved down at the street. Marco, visible by the SUV, nodded once and drove away. Inside, my apartment felt smaller than ever. Dingue. The reality of my life crashing back down after hours in Dante's gleaming penthouse. I sat on my lumpy mattress and opened the envelope. $5,000. I could pay rent for 2 months, buy groceries, send money to Mom, get my winter coat out of the pawn shop, or I could text Dante yes and have $20,000 a month. My mother's life saved, my future secured. All I had to do was step into a world of violence and crime and danger. All I had to do was trust a man I'd known for 3 hours. All I had to do was sell my safety for survival. I pulled out my phone, stared at the business card with his number. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. What will Elena choose? I didn't sleep that night. At 3 a.m., I called my mother. She sounded weak, tired, but happy to hear from me. Baby, what are you doing up so late? Couldn't sleep. How are you feeling? Oh, same old. The new medication makes me nauseous, but the doctor says that's normal. The new medication she could barely afford. the treatment that was draining her savings, her retirement, her will to keep fighting. Mom, what if I told you I got a new job? A really good one? Elena, sweetheart, you already work too hard. This would be different. Better pay. Benefits. Enough to cover your treatment. Silence. Then carefully. What kind of job? Estate management for a wealthy client in Manhattan. Not technically a lie. That sounds wonderful. But baby, if it sounds too good to be true, I know. I'm being careful. I promise. We talked for a few more minutes, and when we hung up, I felt the weight of her trust. Her faith that I'd take care of her, that I'd make the right choices, that I wouldn't let her down. I looked at Dante's number again. What was the right choice? The safe choice was to say no. Keep my 3 jobs, stay invisible, let my mother's treatment slip further out of reach until I couldn't finish that thought. The dangerous choice was to say yes, step into Dante's world, risk everything. But maybe save everything too. At 6 a.m., I made coffee I couldn't afford and watched the sunrise through my grimy window. At 7 a.m., I showered in lukewarm water and thought about what it would feel like to have reliable hot water, a building with functioning heat, groceries I didn't have to calculate to the penny. At 8:30 a.m., I picked up my phone. I typed, "My answer is yes." I stared at the message for 10 minutes. Then I hit send. The reply came in less than 30 seconds. Good. Marco will pick you up at noon. Bring everything important. You're moving in today. My hand started shaking. Moving in? Today? Another message. I don't do half measures, Elena. If you work for me, you live here. It's safer. And I need you available. I typed back. That wasn't part of the deal. It's a non-negotiable part. You'll have your own suite. Complete privacy, but I need to know you're protected. And I need to know where you are. Control. That's what this was. He needed control. But he was also offering protection. A place to live that didn't make me feel like I was drowning. I looked around my apartment, at the water stain on the ceiling, the radiator that hadn't worked in a week, the walls that were probably growing mold behind the peeling paint. I typed, "Okay. See you at noon." I didn't own much. That made packing easier and more depressing in equal measure. 2 suitcases held my entire life. Clothes, a few books, photos of my family, my laptop, the necklace my grandmother gave me before she died. That was it. 24 years on Earth and everything I owned fit in 2 bags. I was waiting outside when the black SUV pulled up at exactly noon. Marco got out, nodded at me, and loaded my suitcases into the back without comment. If he thought it was strange that I had so little, he didn't show it. The drive to Tribeca felt different in daylight. The city looked brighter, cleaner, like a postcard of itself. We pulled up to Dante's building, and the same doorman from last night opened the door with a slight nod. "Miss Elena, welcome." He knew my name. Of course he knew my name. The elevator rose and my stomach dropped with every floor. I was really doing this. Moving into the home of a crime lord. Stepping across a line I could never uncross. The doors opened. Dante was waiting. He looked different in daylight. Still dangerous, still powerful, but more human somehow. He wore dark jeans and a gray sweater that probably cost a fortune but looked comfortable. His hair was slightly mussed, like he'd been running his hands through it. "Elena, welcome home." Home. Such a strange word from such a dangerous man. Marco carried my bags in, and Dante led me through the penthouse. It looked less intimidating in the daylight, more like an actual home. There were books on the shelves, a coffee cup on the counter, small signs of life beneath the polish. "Your suite is this way." He led me down a hallway I hadn't seen last night. The penthouse was even bigger than I'd realized. He stopped at a set of double doors and opened them. I stepped inside, and my breath caught. It wasn't a room. It was an apartment within an apartment. A bedroom with a king-size bed and windows overlooking the city. A sitting area with a couch and television. A bathroom with a tub I could swim in. A walk-in closet that was bigger than my old apartment. "This is mine," I whispered. "This is yours. Complete privacy. I won't enter without permission. The door locks from the inside. You're safe here." I turned to look at him. "Why are you doing this?" "Which part?" "All of it. The job. The room. The protection. You don't know me." He was quiet for a moment, studying me with those storm-gray eyes. "My mother used to say that the measure of a man is how he treats people who can't fight back. People who are struggling. People who are invisible." He paused. "You were invisible last night. To everyone but me. And I saw someone strong enough to walk into a dangerous situation for the people she loves. That's rare. That's worth protecting. I'm not that special. You will be surprised what you're capable of, Elena. People usually are." He moved toward the door, then stopped. "We'll start tomorrow. Today, get settled. Order any food you want. The building has a concierge. Explore the penthouse. It's your home now, too." "Dante?" He turned back. "Thank you. I know I don't fully understand what I've agreed to, but thank you." His expression softened, just a fraction. "Don't thank me yet. You might not feel grateful in a few months." "Why?" "Because my world has a way of changing people. I hope it doesn't change you, but it will test you." Then he left, and I was alone in my new golden cage. I spent the afternoon in a daze. I unpacked my 2 suitcases, and my belongings looked ridiculous in that massive closet, like a child playing dress-up in adult clothes. I took a bath in that enormous tub and cried. Not from sadness exactly, from overwhelm, from the whiplash of my life changing so completely in 24 hours, from fear of what I'd just agreed to. Around 6 p.m., there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and gray-streaked hair pulled back in a neat bun. "Miss Elena? I'm Rosa. I manage Mr. Vittorio's household staff. I wanted to introduce myself and see if you needed anything." Hi. "No, I'm okay. Thank you." She smiled warmly. "Mr. Vittorio mentioned you'd be coordinating with me on household matters. I've worked for the Vittorio family for 30 years. So please, anything you need to know, just ask." 30 years. She'd probably seen things I couldn't imagine. "How many staff are there?" I asked. "Here at the penthouse, just me full-time. Cleaning service comes twice a week. Chef comes in for special occasions. Security rotates, but Marco is primary. Then there's the property upstate, the beach house, the office buildings." She trailed off. "It's a lot, but we'll teach you everything." "Rosa, can I ask you something?" "Of course." Is Dante a good man?" She considered the question carefully. "Mr. Vittorio is a complicated man. He's done things I don't ask about and wouldn't want to know. But he's fair. Loyal. He takes care of the people who work for him. And he's never once raised his voice to me or disrespected me in 30 years. It wasn't exactly a ringing endorsement of his moral character, but it was something." "You'll find your way," Rosa said gently. "And if you need someone to talk to, I'm here. This world can be lonely. It helps to have friends." After she left, I stood at the window and watched the sun set over Manhattan. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Dinner's at 7 if you're hungry. No pressure, just letting you know. D." I looked at the time. 6:30. I could hide in my room. Play it safe. Keep my distance. Or I could go have dinner with the dangerous man who just turned my entire life upside down. I took a breath. Then I texted back, "I'll be there." Dante was in the kitchen when I emerged. He'd changed into black jeans and a white t-shirt, and somehow looked even more dangerous in casual clothes, like a predator pretending to be domesticated. "You cook?" I asked, surprised. He looked up from the stove and smiled. Actually smiled. It transformed his face from intimidating to devastating. "I cook. Rosa's off on Sundays, and I like it. Helps me think." "What are you making?" "Pasta carbonara. My mother's recipe." "You eat meat?" "Yes." "Good. Wine?" "Sure." He poured 2 glasses of red wine that probably cost more than my old monthly salary, and we stood there in the kitchen while he cooked, and it was so surreal I almost laughed. Yesterday, I was cleaning offices in Midtown. Today, I was drinking expensive wine with a mafia boss while he made dinner. "You're quiet," he observed, stirring pasta. "I'm processing." "Finding it hard to believe you're here?" Understatement of the year. He plated the food with the casual efficiency of someone who'd done it 1,000 times, and we sat at the counter. I took a bite and nearly moaned. It was incredible. Rich and creamy and perfectly seasoned. "This is amazing," I said. "My mother believed good food was an act of love. She taught me to cook before she got sick. Said no man should rely on anyone else to feed him." "She sounds wonderful." She was. Smart. Tough. She knew what my father was, what our family did, and she hated it. But she loved him anyway. Loved us. He took a sip of wine. "She made me promise before she died that I'd get out. Leave the family business. Be better." "But you didn't." "No. I was 14. And my father made it very clear I didn't have a choice. By the time I was old enough to choose, I was already too deep. Already responsible for too many people. Already trapped," I offered, quietly. His eyes met mine. Yes, trapped. We ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then he said, "Tell me about your mother." So I did. I told him about her laugh, her terrible jokes, the way she still sent me care packages even though she was the one who was sick, how she worked as a teacher for 30 years, how she loved gardening and old movies and made the best chocolate chip cookies in Ohio, how I was watching her die slowly and couldn't stop it. Dante listened, really listened, and when I finished, his expression was gentle. "You won't watch her die," he said firmly. "That's a promise. Her treatment starts immediately. I have a doctor, one of the best oncologists in the country. He owes me a favor. I'll have him coordinate with her current team." "Dante, you don't have to." "I do. That's the deal. And I keep my word." He paused. "Besides, no one should lose their mother when there's something that can be done. I didn't have a choice. You do." The weight of his words settled between us. "Thank you," I whispered. He nodded once, then stood and began clearing plates. I helped, and we washed dishes together in surprising domesticity, and I tried not to think about how natural it felt, how easy, how dangerous that was. Later, back in my suite, I called my mother. "Baby, twice in 2 days? Is everything okay?" "Everything's great, Mom. Actually, I have news. My new employer has amazing health benefits. I'm setting you up with a specialist in New York. One of the best." Silence. Then, carefully, "Elena, how much is this going to cost?" "Nothing. It's covered. Completely." "That's not possible." "It is. Mom, please. Just let me do this. Let me take care of you for once." I heard her crying. Soft, broken sounds that shattered my heart. "Okay," she finally said. "Okay, baby. Thank you." After we hung up, I sat on my bed and let myself feel the enormity of what I'd done. I'd sold my safety for my mother's life, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. A soft knock at my door startled me. "Elena? You decent?" Dante's voice. I opened the door. He held out a phone. For you. New number. Encrypted. Safer. Safer from what? From people who might try to use you to get to me. From people who might trace your old connections. He met my eyes. I told you there would be risks. This is one of them. Your old life has to disappear. At least publicly. New phone, new number. You can still contact your mother, but through secure channels. The reality of my decision crashed down harder. I'm disappearing, I said. You're protecting yourself, and the people you love. If my enemies know about you, they'll use you. That's how this world works. Have you made a lot of enemies? His smile was dark. More than I can count. That should terrify me more than it does. Should, but doesn't. Why is that, Elena? I didn't have an answer. Or maybe I did and didn't want to admit it. That despite everything, despite knowing what he was, I felt safer with him than I had in years. Get some rest, he said. Tomorrow we start properly. Rosa will show you the routines, the systems. It'll be overwhelming at first. Dante, he paused. Why do you live alone? I mean, besides staff. Someone like you. I'd expect a wife, a girlfriend, someone. His expression shuddered. I was engaged once, 4 years ago. Her name was Sophia. She was everything. Light in my darkness. Was. Past tense. What happened? My enemies found out about her. Used her to get to me. Took her. Hurt her. His voice went flat, emotionless. The only sign of feeling was his hands, clenched into fists. By the time I found her, she was gone, and the men who took her learned what happens when you touch something of mine. I could only imagine what that meant. I'm sorry, I whispered. Don't be. I'm telling you so you understand. This isn't a game. The people who want me dead won't hesitate to use anyone close to me. That's why I need you here, where I can protect you, where my security can monitor threats, where you're safe. But I'm not close to you. I'm just an employee. He looked at me for a long moment, something unreadable in his eyes. Tell yourself that if it helps you sleep, Elena. Good night. He left, and I stood there with my new phone and my new life and the echo of his words in my head. Tell yourself that if it helps you sleep. What did that mean? What does Dante really feel for Elena? The next 7 days passed in a blur of learning and adapting. Rosa taught me the household systems, how Dante liked his coffee, his schedule, his preferences, the list of approved vendors, the security protocols. I learned that every person who entered the building was vetted, that cameras covered every angle except the private suites, that Marco and the security team worked in 8-hour shifts. Always someone watching, always someone ready. I learned that Dante rarely slept more than 4 hours a night, that he worked constantly, phone calls and meetings and decisions that affected hundreds of lives. I learned that he was methodical, controlled, but had a temper that lurked just beneath the surface. I'd seen it once when a business deal fell through. The cold fury in his eyes, the deadly quiet of his voice. I learned to stay out of certain rooms when certain people visited, to disappear like a ghost when the conversations turned dark. And I learned that despite everything, despite knowing what he was, I looked forward to the moments we were alone. Dinner together most nights, him cooking or ordering in, conversations that ranged from movies to philosophy to childhood memories. He was brilliant, well-read, funny in a dry, unexpected way. He asked about my life, my dreams, what I'd wanted to be before survival became the only goal. And slowly, carefully, I felt the walls between us beginning to crack. On Friday night, a week after I'd moved in, I found him on the balcony at midnight. He stood at the railing, cigarette in hand, looking out over the city. Thought you quit, I said, stepping outside. He glanced at me. I did. 3 years ago, but sometimes he took a drag. Sometimes old habits come back. Bad day, bad week, lost 2 shipments. One of my lieutenants is skimming, and someone's been asking questions about our operations. Questions that could cause problems. I shouldn't have asked, shouldn't have wanted to know. But I did. What will you do? About the shipments? Write them off? About the lieutenant? Make an example? About the questions? His smile was cold. Find out who's asking and make sure they stop. Make sure they stop, I repeated. That's a euphemism. Yes. Does it bother you? The violence? He considered the question, smoke curling around him. It used to, when I was younger. Now? He shrugged. I sleep fine, because everyone in my world knows the rules. They make choices. They accept consequences. I don't hurt innocence, Elena. I have lines I don't cross. But in this life, mercy is often seen as weakness, and weakness gets you killed. I should have been horrified, should have run back to my room and locked the door. Instead, I said, "Can I ask you something personal?" "You can ask." I might not answer. "Do you ever wish you'd kept your promise to your mother? That you'd gotten out?" His jaw tightened. For a moment, I thought he'd shut down, walk away. Then he said, "Every day. Every single day." The raw honesty in his voice stunned me. "But you can't leave." "No. Too many people depend on me. Too many enemies would see it as opportunity. The moment I show weakness, they'll attack. And everyone I protect, everyone who works for me, would suffer. That's a lonely way to live. It is." He looked at me then. Really looked at me. Until recently. My heart stuttered. "Dante, don't. I know this is complicated. I know I have no right. You work for me. You're here because you need to be, not because you want to be. I understand that." "That's not entirely true." The words escaped before I could stop them. His eyes widened slightly. "What?" "I do need to be here. For my mother. For the money. For survival. But," I took a breath, "I don't hate it. Being here. With you. I should. I know I should. But I don't." The air between us felt electric. He stepped closer, and I should have stepped back. Should have maintained distance. Maintained professionalism. I didn't move. "Elena," he said quietly, "if we cross this line, there's no going back. You understand that?" "What line?" "The one where you stop being just my employee. Where this becomes something more. Something dangerous." "More dangerous than living with a crime lord?" His lips curved. "Yes. Because if something happens to you because of me, because of what we become to each other, I'll burn the world down. And you'll be the reason." I should have been scared. I should have said no. Instead, I whispered, "Maybe I want to see you burn the world." He moved so fast I barely registered it. One moment we were 2 feet apart. The next, his hand was cupped around my jaw, his thumb tracing my cheekbone, and his eyes were searching mine. "Last chance to run, Elena." "I don't want to run." He kissed me, and the world caught fire. It wasn't gentle, wasn't soft or tentative or careful. It was possession and desperation and need all tangled together. His hands in my hair, tilting my head back. My hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer. The taste of cigarettes and whiskey and something uniquely him. I'd been kissed before, but never like this. Never like I was air and he was drowning. He broke away first, breathing hard, his forehead pressed to mine. "Christ, Elena, what are you doing to me?" I could ask you the same thing. This is a mistake. Probably. I should stop. Send you back inside. Keep this professional. You should. But I'm not going to. He kissed me again, slower this time, but no less intense, like he was memorizing me, learning me, claiming me. When we finally broke apart, I was shaking. We can't, I said, even as every cell in my body screamed yes. I know. You're my boss. This is complicated, dangerous. I know. People will talk. Your enemies will notice. I know. He stroked my cheek. But I haven't felt anything in 4 years, Elena. Not since Sophia. I thought that part of me died with her. And then you walked into my home with your pride and your fear and your desperate strength. And I felt something. Wanted something. Wanted you. Dante, I'm not her. I can't replace. I don't want you to replace her. I want you to be you. Exactly as you are. I closed my eyes. This is insane. Completely. We should think about this. Be smart. We should. He stepped back, giving me space. Go to bed, Elena. Sleep on it. Tomorrow, in daylight, with clear heads, we'll talk. And if you want to forget this happened, we will. I won't touch you again unless you ask me to. You promise? I promise. You're safe here. Always. Even from me. I nodded and turned toward the door. Elena? I looked back. His expression was raw, vulnerable, nothing like the cold crime lord everyone else saw. I haven't lied to you yet. I'm not going to start. So believe me when I say I will protect you with everything I have, even if that means protecting you from myself. I went to bed that night with the taste of him still on my lips and a choice looming ahead that felt more dangerous than any I'd made yet. Say yes, and dive into something that could destroy us both. Say no, and wonder forever what might have been. I woke up to sunlight and regret. Not regret for the kiss. Regret that I wanted more. My phone buzzed. The new encrypted one Dante had given me. A text. Rosa has the day off. I'm making breakfast. Join me if you want. No pressure. D. I stared at the message for a full minute. Then I got up, showered, pulled on jeans and a sweater, and went to find him. He was in the kitchen again, cooking what smelled like bacon and eggs. He wore gray sweatpants and a black t-shirt, his hair still damp from a shower. Domestic, human, devastating. Morning, he said without looking up. Morning. Coffee's ready, mugs in the cabinet. I poured myself a cup and sat at the counter, and we existed in careful silence while he cooked. Finally, he plated food and sat across from me. We should talk, he said. We should. I meant what I said last night. All of it. But I also want you to understand what you'd be signing up for. He set down his fork. If we do this, if we become something, you become a target. You think you're protected now? That's nothing compared to what it would be. You'd need security everywhere. Your mother would need protection. Your every movement would be monitored. That sounds like a prison. It is. A gilded one, but a prison nonetheless. And I won't lie to you. There will be times when my work keeps me away for days. Times when I can't tell you where I'm going or what I'm doing. Times when you'll be scared and alone and wondering if I'm coming back. You're trying to talk me out of this. I'm trying to give you all the information. Because you deserve that. You deserve better than me, honestly. But I'm too selfish to let you go without a fight. I took a sip of coffee, buying time to think. My turn, I said finally. Here's what I know. You're dangerous. Your world is violent. Being with you could get me killed. All of that is true. But you're also the first person in years who's made me feel seen, really seen, not just as a means to an end, not as invisible labor, not as someone to use and discard. You look at me like I matter, like I'm worth protecting, like I'm worth burning the world for. His eyes darkened. And maybe I'm stupid, I continued. Maybe I'm making a terrible choice. But I'm tired of safe choices that keep me invisible and struggling and alone. I want to feel something. I want to be something, even if it's dangerous. Elena, I'm not done. I met his gaze. I'm not Sophia. I can't be her. I won't try. If we do this, it's as ourselves. As we are. Messy and complicated and probably doomed. But real. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I can work with real. Yeah? Yeah. He reached across the counter and took my hand. But we do this my way, which means security, training. You learn to protect yourself. You follow protocols. You don't take unnecessary risks. Controlling much? Absolutely. But I've already lost someone I cared about. I won't lose you, too. The certainty in his voice sent shivers down my spine. Okay, I said. Your way. But I have conditions, too. Name them. You're honest with me. Maybe not about every detail of your work, but about the important things. About threats. About what I'm walking into. Done. And you don't shut me out. When things get hard, when your world gets dark, you don't go cold and distant. You let me in. His jaw tightened. That's harder. I'm not good at letting people in. I know, but I'm asking anyway. He studied our joined hands. I'll try. That's the best I can promise. That's enough. We finished breakfast in a new kind of silence. Not uncomfortable, not careful, just different. After, while we cleaned up together, he said casually, I need to introduce you properly to my inner circle. Let them know you're important, that you're protected. When? Tonight. Small dinner. Just my most trusted people. Marco you've met. There's Luca, my second in command. Giovanni, my financial guy. And Matteo, who handles security and intelligence. Sounds intimidating? They are, but they're loyal. And once they know you're mine, they'll protect you like family. Yours, I repeated softly. He pulled me against him, his hands spanning my waist. Mine, if you'll have me. I tilted my head back to meet his eyes. I'll have you. He kissed me then, softer than last night but no less consuming, and I felt the last of my resistance crumble. I was his. God help me, I was his. That evening, I spent an hour trying to figure out what to wear to dinner with the mafia. Business casual? Too corporate? Cocktail dress? Too formal? Jeans? Too casual? I finally settled on black pants and a silk blouse, simple jewelry, hair down. I looked like myself, which would have to be enough. The men arrived at 7. I heard them before I saw them. Deep voices, laughter, the sound of people comfortable with each other. Family, not just colleagues. I took a breath and walked into the living room. 4 men turned to look at me. Marco, I knew. He nodded in recognition. The others studied me with varying degrees of curiosity and assessment. Gentlemen, Dante said, his hand finding the small of my back. The gesture was casual but unmistakable. This is Elena. She'll be managing my household and personal affairs. More importantly, she's under my protection, which means she's under yours. A beat of silence. Then a man who had to be Luca stepped forward. He was massive, 6'5" of muscle, with a scarred face and surprisingly kind eyes. Welcome to the family, Elena. He offered his hand. I shook it. His grip was firm but careful. Thank you. That means if anyone fucks with you, Luca continued, they answer to all of us. Got it? Got it. Giovanni was next, older than the others, gray at his temples, wearing expensive glasses. He looked like an accountant, which I supposed he was. Just not the legal kind. Miss Elena, a pleasure. He had a slight Italian accent. If you need anything, anything at all, you call me. Dante has my number. Thank you. Matteo was last. Younger, maybe early 30s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. He assessed me like a threat, which I supposed in his position, everyone was a potential threat. You know how to shoot? He asked without preamble. No. You will. I'll train you. Can't have you helpless if something goes wrong. I glanced at Dante. He nodded slightly. This was part of the deal. Part of being in his world. Okay, I said. Mateo's expression softened fractionally. Good. Monday morning, I'll teach you basics. Dinner was surprisingly normal. We ate Rosa's lasagna, drank wine, and they told stories. Some funny, some dark, all giving me glimpses into their world. I learned that Luca had a 6-year-old daughter he was raising alone after his wife left, that Giovanni had been with the Vittorio family for 40 years, since Dante's grandfather ran things, that Matteo had been special forces before Dante recruited him. And I learned that they loved him, not just respected or feared. Loved. He got me out, Luca said at one point, his third glass of wine making him sentimental. I was running protection for another family. They wanted me to do something I couldn't do. Hurt a kid to send a message. I refused. They were going to kill me for it. But Dante heard what happened. Came himself. Bought my contract. Told me I'd never have to do anything that violated my code as long as I worked for him. He paid for my daughter's heart surgery, Giovanni added quietly, when the insurance wouldn't cover it. Didn't even tell me, just handled it. When I found out and tried to pay him back, he said family doesn't keep tabs. Matteo stayed quiet, but I saw him watching Dante with loyalty that went deeper than money or obligation. This was why they followed him. Not fear, respect. Because despite being a criminal, despite the violence and the darkness, Dante took care of his people. Later, after they left, I helped Dante clean up. They're good men, I said. The best. I'd trust them with my life, and now, with yours. That was the point of tonight, wasn't it? Making sure they knew I was important? Yes. Now if anything happens to me, they'll take care of you. Get you out safely. Make sure you and your mother are protected. Nothing's going to happen to you. You don't know that. I turned to face him. Then don't let it. You promised to protect me, remember? Can't do that if you're dead. His smile was slight but genuine. Fair point. He pulled me close and we swayed slightly to no music, just the sound of the city outside and our breathing. Thank you, I said. For what? For letting me see this side, the family, the loyalty. It makes it easier to understand you. The monster? You're not a monster, Dante. Monsters don't care about 6-year-olds getting heart surgery. Don't romanticize what I am, Elena. I've done terrible things. Will do more terrible things. The fact that I take care of my people doesn't erase that. I know. But it matters. The gray spaces matter. He kissed the top of my head. You're too good for this world. Maybe. Or maybe I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. 3 weeks passed in a strange kind of bliss. My mother started treatment with Dante's specialist. Her prognosis improved dramatically. She sounded stronger every time we talked. I learned to shoot with Matteo. Learned basic self-defense. Learned the routes. Through the building, the safe rooms, the emergency protocols. I learned to navigate Dante's world. The meetings I couldn't sit in on. The phone calls that made him disappear for hours. The nights he came home with blood on his knuckles and darkness in his eyes. And I learned him. That he had nightmares he wouldn't talk about. That he read philosophy before bed. That he donated anonymously to children's hospitals and domestic violence shelters. That the portrait in his office was of his mother painted the year before she died. That he was terrified of loving me. We didn't sleep together. Not yet. He said he wanted to wait, to make sure this was real, not just proximity and intensity mistaken for connection. But we kissed. God, did we kiss. Slow, deep kisses that promised everything. Stolen moments between meetings. Late nights on the balcony. Early mornings in the kitchen. And slowly I fell in love with him, which terrified me. Because loving a man like Dante meant accepting that every day could be the last. that his enemies were circling, that this golden bubble we'd built couldn't last forever. On a Thursday afternoon in late March, I was organizing files in his home office when Matteo burst in. His face was grim. "Where's Dante?" he demanded. "Meeting downtown. What's wrong?" "We have a problem. Big one. I need him back here now." My stomach dropped. What kind of problem? Matteo hesitated, then said, "The Kozlov family. They're making moves. Aggressive ones. And they've been asking questions about you. The Russian mob. I'd heard Dante and his men discuss them. Old enemies. Violent. Unpredictable. Why me? Because they know you matter to him, and they're looking for leverage." Fear, cold and sharp, lanced through me. "I need to call him," Matteo said, already dialing. "You stay here. Don't leave this room. Marco's on his way up." He spoke rapid Italian into his phone, then hung up. "He's coming. 15 minutes." Those were the longest 15 minutes of my life. When Dante walked in, he looked dangerous. Not the controlled crime lord I'd come to know. Something darker. Primal. His eyes found me immediately. "You're okay?" "I'm fine," Matteo said. "I heard." He turned to Matteo. "Details. Kozlov's men were spotted casing the building this morning. Our guy inside their organization says they're planning something. Not sure what yet. But your name came up. So did hers." Dante's jaw clenched. "When?" "Soon. Days, maybe. They're waiting for an opening." "They won't get one." Dante looked at me. "Pack a bag. You're leaving the city." "What?" "I have a safe house upstate, fully secured. You'll stay there until this is handled." "No." His eyes narrowed. "Elena, this isn't negotiable." "Yes, it is. You don't get to just send me away because things get dangerous. This is what I signed up for, remember? You signed up for a job, not to be a target for Russian mobsters." "I signed up for you." The words came out louder than I intended. "For this. All of it. The good and the bad and the scary. You don't get to shut me out the moment it gets real. I'm trying to protect you. By hiding me away like I'm breakable, I'm not Sophia Dante. I'm not fragile. And I won't live my life running and hiding every time there's a threat." Something in his expression cracked. Pain. Raw and real. "I can't lose you," he said quietly. "I can't. Not again." I crossed to him, cupped his face in my hands. "Then don't. But don't push me away either. We face this together. Elena. Together. Or not at all." He closed his eyes, leaning into my touch. "You're stubborn as hell. Learned from the best." When he opened his eyes again, they were clearer. Resolved. "Fine. Together. But we do this smart. Enhanced security. You don't leave without at least 2 guards. You follow Matteo's protocols exactly. And if things escalate, if I give the order, you leave. No arguments. Deal." He kissed me then, hard and desperate, and I tasted his fear beneath the control. "I'll kill anyone who tries to hurt you," he murmured against my lips. "Burn their world to ash. You understand?" "I understand." And God help me, I believed him. What are the Kozlovs really planning? The next week was tense. Extra guards, new protocols, Matteo running security checks constantly. Dante barely slept. I'd wake in the middle of the night and find him at his desk, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in low Italian, planning, preparing, hunting. Because that's what he did. He didn't wait for threats to materialize. He met them head on. "We found 2 of Kozlov's men watching the building," Luca reported during a meeting I was present for. "Sent them back with a message." "What kind of message?" I asked. The men exchanged glances. "The permanent kind," Giovanni said carefully. I should have been horrified, should have protested. Instead, I just nodded. This was the reality. His world. Our world. On Friday night, Dante came home covered in blood. Not his blood, I realized with relief, but someone's. He headed straight for the shower without a word. I waited. When he emerged 20 minutes later, clean but still tense, I was sitting on his bed. Want to talk about it? I asked. No. Want me to leave? He looked at me for a long moment. No. I stood and went to him, wrapping my arms around his waist, pressing my face to his chest, his heartbeat steady and strong against my cheek. I'm here, I said simply. His arms came around me, holding tight. I know. We stood like that for a while, finding comfort in proximity. Finally, he said, "It's getting worse. Kozlov's pushing, testing boundaries, building toward something." What? I don't know yet, but something big. He's too quiet, too careful. It's not like him. What are you going to do? End it. Before he makes his move, before anyone else gets hurt. How? His smile was dark. You don't want to know. He was probably right. That night, he asked me to stay. Not for sex. Just to sleep, beside him. To not be alone with his demons. I lay in his massive bed, his arm around me, and listened to his breathing even out. But I didn't sleep, because I knew what was coming. War. And in war, people died. I just prayed we wouldn't be among them. It happened on a Tuesday. I was in the kitchen making lunch when the alarms went off. Sharp, blaring, terrifying. Marco appeared instantly. Elena, with me, now. What's happening? Building breach. Multiple hostiles. Move. He grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the panic room Dante had shown me weeks ago. Hidden behind a bookshelf in his office, reinforced steel, independent air supply. My heart hammered. This was real. This was happening. Where's Dante? I demanded. On his way. He's 2 minutes out. Get in the room. Not without him. Elena, don't fucking argue. Gunfire, inside the penthouse. They were inside. Marco shoved me behind him, his weapon drawn in one fluid motion. Stay behind me, he ordered. Do not fucking move. 2 men burst into the hallway. Russian, from their accents. Armed. Marco fired first. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. 1 man went down. The other returned fire. Marco grunted, and I saw blood bloom on his shoulder. He fired again. The second man dropped. Marco. I'm fine. In the room. Now. But more were coming. I could hear them. Footsteps. Shouts in Russian. We weren't going to make it to the panic room. Marco pushed me toward Dante's bedroom. Lock the door. Barricade it. Do not open it for anyone but Dante or me. Understand? Marco. Go! I ran, slammed the bedroom door, locked it, shoved a heavy dresser in front of it with strength I didn't know I had. More gunfire. Closer now. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands. Called Dante. He answered instantly. Elena. They're in the penthouse. Marco's hit. Dante, I'm scared. Where are you? Your bedroom, barricaded. Stay there. I'm in the elevator. 30 seconds. Do not open that door for anyone but me. Okay. Elena. His voice was hard. Absolute. I'm coming for you. You hear me? I'm coming. The line went dead. The door handle rattled. Then pounding. Someone trying to break through. I backed away, looking for anything I could use as a weapon. Dante's nightstand. I pulled open the drawer. A gun. Of course he kept a gun there. I grabbed it, remembering Mateo's training. Safety off. Both hands. Aim center mass. The door splintered. Once. Twice. The dresser shifted. And then the door burst open. A man filled the doorway. Tall, armed, speaking rapid Russian into a radio. His eyes found me. He smiled. I raised the gun. My hands shook so badly I could barely hold it. Easy, little bird, he said in accented English, Boss wants you alive. Come quiet. No one else dies. Fuck you. He laughed, started toward me. I fired. The recoil nearly knocked me over. The shot went wide. He moved faster than I could track, knocked the gun from my hands, grabbed my wrist and twisted. I screamed. And then he was gone, ripped away from me by a force of nature. Dante. He moved like violence incarnate, a punch that I heard break bone. The Russian fell, tried to grab his weapon. Dante shot him, twice, center mass. Then he was on me, his hands on my face, my arms checking for injuries. Are you hurt? Elena, look at me. Are you hurt? No. I'm okay. I'm okay. He pulled me against him, his heart hammering as fast as mine. I've got you, he murmured. I've got you. You're safe. Gunfire erupted somewhere else in the penthouse. We need to move, Dante said. Can you run? Yes. He picked up the Russian's weapon, handed me my gun back. Stay behind me. If anyone comes at you, shoot first, ask questions never. Understand? I nodded, my whole body shaking but my mind crystallizing into sharp focus. Survival mode. We moved into the hallway. Bodies on the floor, blood on the walls. The beautiful penthouse transformed into a war zone. Marco was down but breathing. Luca crouched beside him, applying pressure to his wound. Status? Dante barked. 4 down, maybe 2 more in the building. Matteo's sweeping, Luca reported. Giovanni got the elevators locked down. They can't leave. Good. They die here. All of them. His voice was ice, nothing human in it. This was the man his enemies feared, the monster everyone warned me about. And he was protecting me with everything he had. Another Russian appeared at the end of the hall, raised his weapon. Dante shoved me behind him and fired. 3 shots. The man dropped. Come on. Dante pulled me toward the panic room. You're going in, now. No arguments. This time I didn't fight him. He opened the hidden door, ushered me inside the small reinforced space. Lock it behind me, he said. Don't open it until you hear the all-clear signal. 3 knocks, pause, 2 knocks. That's me or one of my men. Anything else? You stay hidden. Dante, be careful, please. He kissed me hard and fast. I'm ending this tonight. Kozlov wanted a war? He's got one. Then he was gone, the door closing with a pneumatic hiss. I engaged the locks and waited in the dark. Time became meaningless in that steel box. Could have been minutes. Could have been hours. I heard gunfire, muffled by the reinforced walls but still audible. Each shot made me flinch. I thought about my mother, about the life I'd left behind, about the choice I'd made to step into this world. I thought about Dante's face as he'd killed that man without hesitation, the cold efficiency, the violence. And I thought about how he'd held me after, how his hands had checked every inch of me for injuries with desperate care. Monster and man, both existing in the same skin. Finally, silence. Long, terrible silence. Then, 3 knocks. Pause. 2 knocks. I opened the door. Dante stood there, blood on his clothes, death in his eyes, but alive, whole. It's done, he said. I threw myself at him. He caught me, held me so tight I could barely breathe, and I didn't care. The penthouse, I asked. Secure. All hostiles neutralized. Marco's stable. Ambulance took him 10 minutes ago. Everyone else is fine. And Kozlov? His smile was dark, getting a very clear message about what happens when you threaten what's mine. I should have asked what that meant. Should have pushed for details. I didn't want to know. The penthouse was a disaster. Blood, bullet holes, shattered glass, the pristine space destroyed. We'll stay at the plaza tonight, Dante said. Let the cleaners handle this. Come on. He led me out, past the bodies being removed by men in dark suits, past the police who weren't being called because this was handled internally, past all the evidence of how brutal his world really was. In the SUV, Marco driving despite his shoulder wound because he insisted, I finally started shaking. The adrenaline crash hit hard. Dante pulled me against him. Breathe. You're safe. Just breathe. I killed someone, I whispered. You missed. I tried to kill someone. You protected yourself. That's different. Is it? He tilted my chin up, made me look at him. Elena, you did what you needed to survive. That's not murder, that's courage. And I'm fucking proud of you. I was terrified. I know. But you didn't freeze. You fought. Do you understand how rare that is? I didn't feel brave. I felt sick and scared and like I'd crossed a line I could never uncross. This is who you have to be now, Dante said quietly. In my world. Strong enough to fight. Hard enough to survive. If you can't do that, if it's too much, I'll get you out. Set you up somewhere safe, far from here. You and your mother. New identities. Clean break. Is that what you want? No. God, no. I want you with me. But only if you can live with what that means. I thought about the alternative. Disappearing. Leaving him. Going back to being invisible and struggling and alone. I thought about the man who'd held me like I was his entire world, who'd killed to protect me, who looked at me like I mattered. I can live with it, I said. You're sure? No, but I'm staying anyway. His arms tightened around me. Then we do this together. All of it. No more hiding. No more pretending this world isn't dangerous. You're in it now. Fully. Which means you train harder. Learn more. Become someone even my enemies think twice about touching. You want to turn me into you. I want to give you the tools to survive. There's a difference. Maybe. Or maybe he was right, and his world changed everyone it touched. Changed me. Because the girl who'd walked into his penthouse 2 months ago wouldn't have pointed a gun at someone. Wouldn't have pulled the trigger. And I didn't know if that was growth or corruption. The plaza suite was obscenely luxurious. I barely noticed. Dante ordered room service we didn't eat, and ran me a bath I couldn't enjoy and tried to make everything normal when nothing would ever be normal again. Talk to me, he finally said, sitting on the edge of the massive bed while I stood at the window in one of his shirts. I don't know what to say. Say what you're feeling, even if it's that you hate me, that you're scared of me, that you want out. I turned to look at him. I don't hate you. But I'm realizing what this means. What we mean. I always knew intellectually that you were dangerous. That people died in your world. But today, seeing it, living it, almost becoming one of those statistics, I know. Do you? Because you grew up in this. You're used to violence, to death, to the casual way life ends in your world. But I'm not, and I don't know if I can be. He stood, crossed to me. Then leave. I mean it, Elena. If this is too much, leave. Tonight. I'll have Marco take you anywhere you want. Set you up. Make sure you're protected. But I won't watch you destroy yourself trying to be someone you're not for me. What if I want to try? Why? I'm not worth it. That's not your choice to make. His jaw clenched. You're infuriating. Learned from the best. I repeated the words from weeks ago. He almost smiled. Elena, I need you to understand something. Today wasn't an anomaly. This is my life. Violence. Danger. Death. It's not always this dramatic, but it's always there. Lurking. Waiting. And anyone close to me lives with that reality. I know. Do you? Because Sophia didn't. She thought she did. But when it got real, when they took her, she broke. And I had to watch the woman I loved shatter because of what I am. There it was. The fear underneath everything. Not that I'd get hurt, that I'd break like she did. I'm not her, I said again, firmly. I'm not going to break. You don't know that. Neither do you. But I'm willing to find out if you are. He pulled me against him, his face buried in my hair. I don't deserve you. Probably not. I don't deserve this penthouse and designer clothes and being protected like I'm precious. But here we are. So maybe we stop questioning it and just hold on. Hold on, he murmured. Yeah, I can do that. We stood there, two broken people clinging to each other, and I felt something shift. This wasn't romance, wasn't some fairy tale where love conquered all. This was survival, partnership. Two people choosing each other despite every rational reason not to. Make love to me, I said quietly. He pulled back, searching my face. Elena, I need to feel alive. I need to feel something other than fear and adrenaline and death. Please. His eyes darkened. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. He kissed me then, and it was different from before. Not desperate or claiming, tender, almost reverent. Like I was something precious he was afraid of breaking. His hands moved over me slowly, learning, memorizing. My breath caught when he lifted me, carried me to the bed, laid me down like I was made of glass. Tell me if it's too much, he said, if you need me to stop. I won't. Tell me anyway. So I did, and he did, and we came, together in the aftermath of violence, with a gentleness that felt like defiance. Like saying that despite the darkness, despite the death, we could still find something beautiful, something worth fighting for. Afterward, wrapped in hotel sheets with his heartbeat steady beneath my ear, I felt the fear finally recede. I love you, I whispered. His whole body went still. Then, say that again. I lifted my head to meet his eyes. I love you, Dante Vittorio. I know it's insane and dangerous, and probably the worst decision I've ever made, but I love you. His hand came up to cup my face, his thumb tracing my cheekbone. I've loved you since the moment you stood in my kitchen with $5,000 in your hands and terror in your eyes, but your chin up anyway. Since you chose courage over safety. Since you saw me, really saw me, and didn't run. I'm not running now. I know. That's what terrifies me. He pulled me closer. Because I meant what I said. If something happens to you because of me, I'll burn the world down. There won't be anything left. No mercy. No limits. Just ash and blood and vengeance. Then don't let anything happen to me. His smile was slight but genuine. Deal. We fell asleep tangled together, and for the first time since the attack, I felt safe. The war with Kozlov escalated fast. 3 more attacks in 2 weeks. Not on us directly, but on Dante's businesses, his shipments, his allies. Dante responded with calculated brutality. I didn't ask for details, didn't want to know how many people died in the shadow war being waged across the city, but I saw the toll it took on him. The sleepless nights, the phone calls at 3 a.m., the meetings that ended with him covered in blood that wasn't his. And I stayed. Through all of it, I stayed. I trained with Matteo daily. Weapons, hand-to-hand combat, tactical awareness. He was a brutal teacher, but effective. You're getting better, he said after I managed to disarm him. Faster, more confident. Thanks to you. Thanks to you being willing to learn. Some people freeze up. You lean in. That's rare. I became fluent in the language of Dante's world. The codes, the hierarchies, the unspoken rules that governed everything. I learned to read a room for threats, to know which men could be trusted and which needed watching, to understand the difference between business violence and personal violence. I became harder, sharper, someone who could exist in the darkness without drowning. And Dante noticed. You're different, he said one night as we lay in bed. Good different or bad different? Strong different. Dangerous different. You walk into a room now and people notice, respect you, fear you a little. Is that what you wanted? I wanted you safe. This is safer than soft. Maybe. Or maybe we were both just better at lying to ourselves. My mother's treatment continued. The specialist said she was responding better than expected. Might even go into remission. That was everything. The reason I'd made this choice. The reason I stayed. But somewhere along the way, it stopped being just about her. It became about him. About us. About the life we were building in the cracks between violence. Kozlov wants to meet, Dante told me over breakfast one morning. Is that good? It's unexpected. Either he's ready to negotiate or it's a trap. What do you think? Trap. But I'm going anyway. Can't look weak. Fear spiked through me. Let me come with you. Absolutely not. Dante. Elena, no. This is different from the penthouse. This is walking into enemy territory. I'm not risking you. You're risking yourself. That's my job. Protecting you is my job. They're not compatible. We argued for an hour. I lost. He left with Luca and Matteo, heavily armed, and I spent the day in the penthouse trying not to imagine every terrible outcome. Marco stayed with me, silent and vigilant. He'll be fine, Marco said finally. Boss is too smart to walk into a trap blind. Then why do you look worried? He gave me a slight smile. Because I always look worried. Occupational hazard. Dante came home 6 hours later, alive and furious. What happened? I demanded. Kozlov made an offer. Wants peace. Says the war is bad for business. That's good, right? It's bullshit. He's planning something bigger. I can feel it. This was just him fishing, seeing if I'd lower my guard. So what do? We don't do anything. I end this. Permanently. The look in his eyes sent chills down my spine. How? You don't want to know. He was probably right. That night, I woke to find his side of the bed empty. I found him on the balcony, smoking again, staring at the city. Can't sleep? I asked. Too much to think about. I wrapped my arms around him from behind. Talk to me. I'm planning to kill a man, Elena. Multiple men. Kozlov and his inner circle. That's not pillow talk. I know what you are, what you do. You don't have to hide it from me. He turned to face me. I'm going to kill them in their own homes, while they sleep. Their families will find them in the morning. Children. Wives. That blood is on my hands. You could just kill Kozlov, leave the others. No, they'd retaliate. This only ends if I cut off all the heads at once. Send a message so clear that no one else tries this for a generation. When? Tomorrow night. So soon. I'm scared, I admitted. Good. Fear keeps you sharp, keeps you alive. I'm scared for you, not me. His expression softened. I'll come back. I always come back. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise I'll fight like hell to make it true. We went back to bed, and he held me like I might disappear, and I held him like he might not come home, and neither of us slept. The next day crawled by. Dante was gone by the time I woke up. Planning, preparing, saying goodbye in case he didn't return. He left me a letter on his pillow. I didn't open it. Refused to. Because opening it meant accepting the possibility that he might not come back. Rosa tried to keep me busy. Giovanni stopped by with paperwork that needed handling. Matteo ran me through drills until my body ached. None of it helped. By nightfall, I was pacing the penthouse like a caged animal. He'll be fine, Marco said for the 100th time. You don't know that. No, but I know him, and I know he's got too much to live for to be reckless. Me. I was what he had to live for. The weight of that was crushing. Midnight came and went. 1 a.m., 2 a.m. My phone stayed silent. At 3 a.m., I finally opened the letter. Elena, if you're reading this, I didn't make it back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for bringing you into this world, for making you love me, for leaving you alone. The envelope with this letter contains account information, offshore accounts in your name, enough money for 10 lifetimes, for you and your mother. Use it. Disappear. Live the life I stole from you. Luca will make sure you're protected, that Kozlov's people can't touch you. Trust him. Trust Giovanni and Matteo. They'll take care of you like I would have. I don't regret loving you, even knowing how it ends. You are the best thing in my life, the light in all this darkness. Don't let this world make you hard. Stay soft. Stay good. Be everything I couldn't be. I love you. I will love you in whatever comes after this. Forever yours, Dante. I was crying by the end, ugly sobs that shook my whole body. He wasn't coming back. I could feel it. Some instinct screaming that I'd lost him. At 3:30, the door opened. I spun around, hope and fear warring in my chest. Dante stood there covered in blood, swaying slightly, but alive. Alive. I ran to him. He caught me, stumbled, and we went down together onto the floor of the foyer. You're here. I sobbed into his chest. You're here. I'm here. His voice was rough. I'm here, baby. I'm okay. You're covered in blood. Not mine. Well, mostly not mine. I pulled back and saw the knife wound in his side, still bleeding. Jesus Christ, Dante. It's fine. Shallow. Looks worse than it is. You need a hospital. I need you. He cupped my face. I need you to tell me you're real, that I made it back, that this isn't me dying and dreaming. You're not dying. I won't let you. He laughed, then winced. Stubborn as hell. Learned from the best. Yeah, I know. He kissed me, tasting like copper and smoke. I love you. Did you read the letter? Yes. And? And you're an idiot if you think I'd take your money and run. I'm not going anywhere. Even after tonight? Even knowing what I did? Even then. Forever, remember? You don't get to die and escape this relationship. He pulled me against him, and we sat there on the floor in a pool of someone else's blood, holding each other like we could merge into one person who could never be separated. It's done, he finally said. Kozlov's dead. So are his lieutenants. His organization is in chaos. We're safe. For now. For now? There's always another threat, another enemy. But for now, we breathe. I helped him up, got him to the bathroom, cleaned and bandaged his wound while he watched me with exhausted eyes. You're good at this, he observed. I've had practice. You come home bleeding a lot. Occupational hazard. Maybe find a new occupation. He smiled. What would I do? Accounting? IT? You'd be terrible at both. Exactly. This is what I am. This is what I do. I finished bandaging and met his eyes. Then I guess this is what I do too. Patch you up. Keep you alive. Love you despite it all. Despite it all. He repeated softly. That's more than I deserve. Probably. But you're stuck with me anyway. We went to bed as the sun was rising, exhausted and blood-stained and alive. And for the first time in weeks, we both slept soundly. 3 months later, I stood in the rebuilt penthouse, pristine again, no trace of violence remaining, and marveled at how much had changed. My mother was in remission. She'd flown out to visit twice, and though she had questions about Dante's business, she was smart enough not to ask too many. She just thanked him for saving her life and told me privately that she'd never seen me so happy or so scared. Both were true. I'd become someone new, someone harder, someone who could fire a weapon without flinching and negotiate with criminals and read a situation for threats in seconds. But I'd also become someone more myself, confident, strong, valued. Dante had given me that. The resources, the training, the belief that I was worth protecting. And I'd given him something too. A reason to care about something beyond power and revenge. A light in his darkness. As cheesy as that sounded, we still fought. About his overprotectiveness, about the risks he took, about my stubborn refusal to hide when things got dangerous. But we loved each other through it. Fiercely. Completely. With a depth that only came from surviving hell together. "What are you thinking about?" Dante asked, appearing behind me with 2 glasses of wine. "How different my life is from a year ago. Better or worse?" I turned to face him. "Both. Definitely both." He smiled. "Honest as always." "You'd call me on it if I lied." "True." He handed me a glass. "I have something for you." "It's not my birthday." "I know, but I saw it and thought of you." He pulled a small box from his pocket. My heart stuttered. It was too small to be anything but... I opened it. A ring. Simple, elegant, a single diamond that caught the light. "Dante, I know it's fast. I know this life is complicated and dangerous, and you have every reason to say no. But I've wasted enough time. I know what I want. It's you. Always you. This is insane. Completely." He took the ring from the box. "Marry me, Elena. Be my wife, my partner, my everything. Let me spend the rest of my life protecting you and loving you and trying to deserve you." I should have said it was too soon. Should have asked for time. Should have been smart and careful and rational. Instead, I said, "Yes." His eyes widened. "Yes?" "Yes, you idiot. Of course, yes." He slid the ring onto my finger, then kissed me like I was oxygen and he'd been drowning. When we broke apart, both breathless, he rested his forehead against mine. "You're sure?" he asked. "This life, this world, forever?" "I'm sure. As long as you promise one thing." "Anything. Don't let go. No matter what comes, no matter how hard it gets. Don't let go." He smiled. "Never. I'll hold you like you're my entire world." Because I am, because you are. And that's how it started. Not with a fairy tale, not with some sanitized romance where everything worked out perfectly, but with a choice. To step into darkness, to love someone dangerous, to become someone stronger. 6 months ago, I was invisible, struggling, alone. Now I'm engaged to a crime lord, living in a world of violence and luxury and constant danger. My mother is alive. I'm stronger than I ever imagined, and I'm loved with an intensity that would terrify most people. Does it have a happy ending? I don't know yet. We're still writing it. But I know this. When Dante holds me, when his arms wrap around me like I'm precious, like I'm everything, I don't regret a single choice that brought me here. Even the dangerous ones. Especially the dangerous ones. Because sometimes the biggest risk is the one worth taking. Sometimes you have to fall to find out who'll catch you. And when I fell, he held me like I was his entire world. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. If you want to know what happens next, if you want to see how our story continues, hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, in Dante's world, there's always another chapter, another danger, another reason to hold on tight and never let go. Thanks for watching. Until next time. End.